This here, it's the G-Man. This is my nephew's tractor. It's a solid beast. It's a Massey. Let me show you. Oh, I can't put the hood down. I brought it down here to take a look at a couple of things. The ignition switch wasn't working, so I figured see what I could do with that. Get it working for him. And he also said that the carburetor or the engine runs only with half or nearly full choke. So I thought I'd take a look at that too. Maybe turn the carburetor out. Probably something like that. It's a solidly built tractor. Look at that. Look at the way the gearing set up. Isn't that something? Oh, that's amazing. So I've pulled the switch out. I've checked it. It's pretty well burnt up. So nothing I can do with that except replace it. Let's see if I can put the hood down a little bit. I got the gas tank partially off. There we go. Yeah, it's quite the monster. Everything is like solid steel, cast. I mean, this thing will last forever. There's the other side of it. So that's what I'm doing. I've already decided what I'm going to do with the switch. You might want to replace a seat one of these days. Yeah, just like everything is just so solid. It's massively heavy. So anyway, pull the carburetor off. Gonna give it a clean. We'll show you what it looks like. There's a switch out of it down there. And that thing there, I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. And give it a new lease on life. Wish I had this. Those tires. Okay then, see you in a bit. This is the carburetor off the Massey. I thought it was just going to be a quick little clean, so I wasn't intending to do a video on it, but when I took it apart, the bowl off, I thought, wowzer, that's pretty serious rust. No wonder he was running it on half choke, 3/4 choke. I'm surprised it even ran at all. Wasn't completely plugged up. So we're going to do a little video on getting this back together, since it's in such wonderful shape here. And as far as the wiring goes for the switch, I cleaned up the solenoid. It was pretty heavily corroded, so I've cleaned it up so we'll get much better contact on it. And I cleaned the base mounting plate that provides the ground for it there. And that should do a much better job. All the copper contacts are clean, and I'm going to use stainless steel nuts to help slow down any corrosion, and I'm going to coat it with anti-corrosion material as well. So that one's in shape. The switch, let's see, show you the switch. I had to cut it open. It was just dead. Nothing going on with it at all. So I cut it open, and you can see the contacts for the various positions in the switch. Up here, up in there is the B for the battery. That's totally gone. So it's no wonder it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't send a battery voltage to the various elements, either be a start or be the magneto or the ignition charging as well wouldn't work. So there's the inside of it a little more. It's got this little plate with 3 tabs, 3 buttons on it. This one here, which goes on the other side. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to point it out. The little 3 buttons, well, guess what? There's no button there. That one's just gone. Oops. So, again, it just burnt through. So I've got another switch. It's not quite the same style, but so long as I know what the connections are for the plug, I can reroute and rewire that and give them another switch. So we'll disassemble this guy. I'll be back in a minute and we'll go take a look at further inside of it. Okay, just wanted to make sure I had what I thought would be the little tools I'd need. So we'll take the float bowl off. Wow. Yeah, a lot of corrosion there. A lot of corrosion on that pin. Oh, look at that. There's a spring. Let me just take a look at that. There's a spring down below. It hooks on somewhere down below the tab. It hooks on the tab down below and it hooks under there. So I have to remember that. That's cute. And there's the needle valve. Not too bad looking. Okay, let's take off this fuel line port. Might as well take it completely apart given the corrosion. There's rust inside there. So, wow. That's really something. See if I can ease that O-ring off without doing any damage. Or I'll just leave it on for now. And we'll take this guy off. The speed, idle speed. Just so get in all the nooks and crannies to clean it. And that's about that, other than there's a jet down there. Oh, good. Not seized. That's a blessing. A little cruddy at the top. But getting squeaky. I'll put a little anti-corrosion on here material. It's called Super Core. It's great. It's not cheap though, it's expensive, but it's excellent for lubricating. It's conductive. It's kind of like rust check or those kind of things on steroids. Really works well. And there we go. Okay, so what I'll do is I got most everything apart. I'm going to fill up the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to dunk these in, all the parts in a container, and let them ultrasonic for about 15 minutes just with soap and water, and then I may have to go back at it again with a solvent. Okay, we'll see you when things are clean. Hello, we're back again. It's this carburetor from the Massey garden tractor, and it's come out of the ultrasonic. It's all cleaned up. See what a nice job the ultrasonics did. Ended up cleaning it for 30 minutes. 15 minutes first round. Changed out the god-awful dirty water and got a little brush here and loosened up some of the stuff that was really deep embedded, and put it back in with the other parts, and away she came, just like that. The bowl, however, I had to take a wire wheel to the bowl. It was pretty pathetic. Lots of pitting, lots of rust in there, so I cleaned it up best I could. And that's that. So what we're going to do now, what I did off camera, first off, is that spring that was part of the float bowl assembly. I put that on off camera. It was tedious, very tedious. The spring had to loop, one end had to loop underneath the tab that holds the needle valve, and then the other part of the spring had to sit on the outrigger here where that pin goes through, and has to stay lined up while you slide the pin through. That was a pain, so I did that off camera. Float's been leveled, so float looks good. Pins in, and the float needle valve itself is in as well. So we're ready to go. What we'll do is start the assembly. First thing, maybe I should just put the float bowl on. Get that out of the way. So first thing we'll do then is put the jet in. The jet came out spotless. All the miniature teeny weeny little holes are cleaned out. And we'll just thread that in all the way down. I should have chased that thread, but I don't know whether that's a special thread for these. It might be. So it'll be just a little snug going in to start. It's just not that bad. It's better than it was taking out, that's for sure. All the way down she goes. Until I feel the bottom. There's the bottom. And give it a little snug. Okay, we could put the float bowl on, but I'm doing two things here. Because that was so pitted, I'm going to use my Hylamar Blue gas resistant gasket maker almost. Very small amounts. I'm going to put it on that surface there. If you can see that. Just a small little film is all it needs. And since it's gas resistant, I don't mind putting it in there. That's going to help seal the inside from any gas leaks. Because like I say, this bowl was so pitted even underneath where this gasket was previously. So that'll create a nice surface. Won't put it on the other one. And the other thing we're going to do in preparation is there's the fuel jet there. It has an O-ring on it. I put this special Dow Corning DC4 silicone. It is gas resistant, and the amount I put on is barely a smear. Barely a smear. In fact, I will wipe it all off because it's just sitting on the surface of the O-ring. Allows the O-ring to glide freely and all that good stuff. Then we're going to need that, and that has a gasket there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the Hylamar. I'm going to get a little bit, and I'm going to put it around the brass here. Spread it out so it's just a thin film almost. As you're supposed to let whatever solvent's in this, I don't think it's acetone. It might be. Let that flash off. Make sure I've got good coverage, like that. That's that side. And then on this side, with the bowl, I'm going to put it in there too. Just around the outside. Don't mind if it gets all the way out there. But I just want it around where that's going to contact. And it'll smear out as it turns in. So that'll create a nice seal. No worry with the gas leaks. Okay. There we go, there's those two. So now I can put the float bowl on. The arrangement isn't critical because there's no orientation as such. So I'll put it so the little drain valve is there and just slip that on like that. Come on, get in there. There we go. Put that gasket on. Put that in place. Thread it in place by hand. And then get that wrench and tighten it down like that. And that will create a really nice tight seal. Like that. And the float bowl still moves. That's a good thing. Then we can put the air fuel adjust, or so the fuel adjust, in there with a spring. Where's my spring? Like so. And we'll just thread that in. Now that O-ring will start to grab the sidewalls part way down, and it'll be a nice smooth adjustment. So I'll turn that guy in all the way. I did polish the end of that needle with some number 4 paper, very fine, and then I'll back that out 1/2, 1 turn. I'm going to go 1.5. Now when I took that out, I took note of it. It was only a 1/2 turn out. It shouldn't be that far in, but oh well. I've seen worse. That looks good. And then we'll put the air idle screw in there. And again, I'll turn that in. There, right there. 1/2, 1.5. And I'll start my set point there. So that's it for the carburetor reassembly. So once I get the other parts cleaned up, and once I get some wiring sorted out for that switch, I'll show you how it goes back on. Now I put that back in too, and I did use the Hylamar blue in there in the threads. So everything should be nice and sealed. Okay, back when we're ready to put it on.